Where would you like to live out your days? Where? And that's a very big question, right? Because that's not only geographically, that could be whether it's your home or maybe an assisted living facility, and don't rule that out. I'll tell a quick story. A good friend of mine, his mother widowed 10 years ago, and her kids said, Mom, you probably need to go to a assisted living, and just livid at the thought. But then, a few years later, she reconsidered. She recently moved into one, and she said, I should have done this 5 years ago. I love it. So I'm not saying they're going to love every assisted living facility out there. The point is, don't think they're bad either. They could be wonderful. Other planning factors come into play. And of course, it's a long list. We're not going to go into everything. This is, again, designed to help you think. In the big picture, there are paid caregivers, and that's called formal. The word formal will come up if you have a long-term care insurance policy, or if the expense is considered deductible, reimbursable. And then there's informal, which is typically family or could be a good neighbor. With regards to informal, your family, do they know who they are? In other words, there's not this silent expectation simply, dormant until the need arises and suddenly, we expect, Caitlin to rise up and be there for us. I'm not saying that they won't willingly do it. The point is, it's always better to have these discussions proactively. And do they know who they are not? There might be a family member that you don't want any part of helping you with your first hour in the morning, for example. And then there's agreements among family members if you have more than one adult child, for example. What is going to happen when that person simply needs a break? Is there some rotation schedule? And then have you assigned powers, legal powers, in a practical manner? If you're able to spread the powers out among responsible adult children, for example, finances with one and power of attorney for health care for another. But sometimes you have no choice. There is only one responsible adult within proximity, and you have to give both powers to that one person. Can that person handle that responsibly? And then there's the issue of when you and your spouse do pass on. The default laws of most states will say whatever your state is after all the bills are paid. Say there's 4 kids, and each kid gets 25% of what's left. Well, what if one of those 4 kids had given up a career, had given up time with family, had given up a lot to be there, whether it's 2 in the morning or 2 in the afternoon? Should there be some compensation for that? What will the family think is fair? These are questions you must ask yourself and your loved ones. They're not questions that an outsider, me or anyone else, can answer for you. Think of the cost of free. Now, before I make this sound so bad, I will say I've met families who have said, taking care of my parents was challenging, but it was an honor, and I would do it again in a heartbeat. Great, that's fantastic. However, not one of those situations where I heard that was there any kind of financial strife. There was plenty of financial resources, so that was not a contributing area of challenge. So let's look at the cost to free caregivers. First of all, it cuts their income if they are working, because there's fewer hours that they can work, which means there's a cascading effect, a domino effect of, well, then they can't contribute as much to the retirement. They're not earning as many Social Security's workers' credits, which means their check will be lower when they take Social Security. It's going to be hard to get promoted when you're cutting back on work, and you're not going to really have time for professional development. And think about, is their commitment also forcing them to pay for things they normally took care of themselves, whether it was cooking or taking care of the yard, minor repairs, even shopping, cleaning, or laundry? Do they need to pay for help because they're needed to help take care of you or you and your spouse? That's a serious consideration, which makes us want to revisit what we talked about earlier with regards to simplifying. And a homeowner's or household operations manual, again, this can be penciled on scratch paper if need be. Something is better than nothing. They also lose time away from loved ones, and they lose the ability to maybe eat well, sleep well, because they don't turn their phone off, because what if you call at 2 a.m? They're maybe sacrificing exercise, and they're not seeing their loved ones and social circle as often. Next, this is going to sound pretty heavy, but it's too important not to mention. For those caregivers who have no help, almost half of them die before the one that they're helping.